Creamer Media's Policy, I'm Sashni Mudley. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me for Suttner's View, a weekly commentary on South Africa's political scene. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
Many people speak of a leadership crisis in South Africa. What do you see as comprising that crisis?
People are always saying you need a good leader, bring this person in and then he'll fix up all the things. It's usually a he. But I think we've got to ask ourselves, what do you need to have a leader that is respected? And it's not someone who's brilliant in the first place or good looking. The first thing that's important to people is to trust, to be able to trust a person. Trust is the most basic quality in a successful and ethical leader. In South Africa today, when you have a crisis of legitimacy, breaking out with violence, I mean, it's astonishing that the Minister of Intelligence should be saying that it's ANC people who may well start violence that will interrupt the free flow of the elections. Now, usually they blame the EFF or criminals, things like this. So there's a situation which is very, very critical. Breakdown of the relationship between the population and the leadership, between the ANC and the leadership. And I think the foundation stones are not there. If you think of all the great leaders of the past in the ANC, Tambo, Mandela, Luthuli, Albertina and Walter Sisulu, Lillian Ngoyi, Bram Fischer, Ruth First, Chris Hani, Joe Slovo, all of these people were trusted. There's no one in MK you can speak to who didn't trust Chris Hani. It's impossible to think of Chris Hani doing something that would hurt another human being. And I think that trust is a very, very difficult quality in the sense that you have to earn it over time. You have to earn it by people seeing that what you do embraces what they want. In other words, the fact that you may be a very good orator is not sufficient. People have to see that what you say embraces what they need, that they can see themselves and their conditions in what you say. And to be able to do that means that you're not just a speaker, but you are a listener. Now, when Tambo and Mandela were in a law firm in Johannesburg, down there near Rissik Street, where Gandhi Square is, that's where they had their offices. And the late Ruth Mompati reports how Mandela used to listen for hours to people who came in there about land problems and other problems. Tambo as well. And, I worked with Mandela when he came out of jail in 1990. And I didn't think about it at the time. And when I read this, I thought back about it and I realized that my relationship with Mandela was not just one of me listening to this heroic figure. He used to listen to me a lot. In fact, I remember when we went, there were these first talks at the time of what was called the Grootskeur Minute. And he asked to see me and he said to me, how do you think I should address this sort of question? So he was interested in hearing what all sorts of people said, even people who were a lot less senior than himself. So before leadership can develop a vision that people will embrace as their own, they have to win the trust of those people. And you have this situation where not only do people not trust them? The integrity of the present leadership is, to say it's not beyond question is to understate it. It's actually practically nothing. So that is the first thing that I think has to be addressed as part of a general earning of respect through the way you behave yourself, the sort of values that you exemplify, because a leader becomes a role model for other people. You know, when I came up here at the Mug and Bean, there were two very muscular chaps standing there with tattoos. And I think they must come from some gym here. And I was thinking to myself, when some people look at these people as heroic, will they also go and get these tattoos all over them? Is that the more? Because people tend to, when they're young especially, to mimic what people whom they admire do. So that is a very important quality in leadership which is absent today, which needs to be recovered.
Assuming that the leadership deficit could be remedied, in that we find individuals with the qualities to which you refer, how do they act out what is required?
Yeah, you know, you can't just go there and stand outside Bedford Square and say, this must be done, that must be done. Nothing will happen, you see. Leadership is meaningful within organization. And organization means numbers, the weight of numbers. It's important to understand that you will not get things done if you are a minority. No matter how brilliant the ideas may be, you're not going to achieve things unless you can marshal a majority. But it's not sufficient to have a majority. Get on a train and go to a stadium and go home afterwards. 3 months later, come to a stadium or go on a march. What you need is organization. Mobilization means you can mobilize people in anger or in joy to go and do this, that, and the other. Go to hear Bruce Springsteen or whatever it happens to be. Organization in politics means a quality whereby people are organized and brought together to achieve particular purposes. They are not there. If they along the way stray to do X or Y, well then they don't have the discipline to be part of that organization. Organization is in a sense a weapon. It is got to be aimed at a particular target, achieving particular goals, and people can see their own power. If they're organized in terms of a vision of what must be done, it's best, I think, to not just have long-term goals like we want to achieve socialism or something like that. You may want first to lower the bread prices, and that you may achieve the lowering of the bread prices in a few months' time. And then an organized group of people gets a sense of their own power. And I think to keep people within an organization, it's important for them to see that they achieve things, that they, by being together as one, they are able to achieve things. But numbers, big numbers, are not always the type of organization that is required. Because if you are an underground group, you don't move in big numbers. You move in small groups, and you may even not move together. You may connect through one or other secret way. So the type of organization that is required, organization is required, but exactly what the type of organization that is required, whether it's military, whether it's just peaceful, or whatever it is, depends on the goals that you have and the obstacles that you face.
Thank you, Professor. That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Creamer Media's Polity about leadership crisis and question of organization.